Someone's home is a real invitation into their kind of psyche and history.
Come on, I'll give you some tummy time.
You know, I might meet someone on the street and I think they have some kind of like, not judgment, but thought of who I am. And then when they come back to my place, you can see in their mind, like everything changes. They're like, oh, this was not my expectation of the way you live or what you would like. I like that, yes.
Is it making my eye bigger?
And I like catching people off guard, yes. Too many flowers. Hello, I'm Ben Mooney. We're at my house. This is my dog Goody. He's an Italian Greyhound. We're in my shop in Collingwood where I sell antiques, but I also sell new stuff by local designers. We're in supply store at the moment, but my house upstairs is 60 square centimeters. No. I was doing so well. The house upstairs is 60 square meters, but I also hire it out for photo shoots and things like that. But mostly, I guess I'm a shopkeeper. I've lived here for about 3 years. This is the third shop I've lived in. Come on in. The building's actually for sale at the moment and my lease has been extended for 3 years, but coming to the realization that you actually don't own the building is pretty difficult. Yeah. So this is kind of the point where it changes from the shop to the house. This chain is all I have to separate the two, but I think it sends a clear message. Before, the edge of that stairwell was just really cracked and disgusting. This trim I added on the side, it's like a Greek key pattern, which is one of my favorites. It was a very good coverall. Come upstairs. I had these tablecloths left over from an event that I did and I just attached them to wood. So this covers up everything that was left behind by other people and it saves a lot of money. I mean, to get scaffolding and a plaster and everything was going to cost thousands of dollars. This one here is a good indication of what the wall in the living room looked like. I think sometimes it's just about distracting from what is there, but I mean, to me, they look really intentional. So I guess this is my entryway. I kind of like as you come up the stairs, it's a lot lighter here and you can see through to the other rooms, which is really nice. I think it's kind of like my entry table and I do try to find pieces of furniture that are multi-use. This has drawers that are kind of secret because you can't really just open them from there. I like to change around the furniture, so this could be a great bedside table or a hall table, or it's just something that can kind of go anywhere. This bowl I love. This is where I put my keys when I come home. It's got this face on it and when you put it on a flat surface, it kind of imprints itself on whatever the surface is, but I love that one. The Bowie picture came from my dad. He's passed away and he didn't leave me very much, but he did leave me this very good photo, which his friend took. When they had a retrospective at NGV of Bowie pictures, there was this same picture but him in different poses, which was really crazy to see because I've known that picture my whole life. I decided to take out all the doors. It lets in the light and lets you see in there, but also wherever you kind of open a door, you have to have that full swing back of the door. So it allows me to have pieces of furniture on either side. I mean, when I'm lying in bed, I can see right through into this room and it's good to keep a watch over your treasures. So this is the living room. It was 2 rooms and now it is my favorite room. The walls I did myself. That was a real labor of love. I kind of chipped away layers and layers of paint. The best part about it is you really don't know what you're gonna get. There's no way to kind of control the color that's coming through. I love the picture rails as well. They're really handy. I'm someone that hates putting holes in their walls and I've always been a renter, so picture rails are amazing. You just hang these little hooks up the top and then you can hang whatever you want. Originally there was a wall that divided these 2 rooms. Where you're standing at the moment, you never would have been able to see through to the kitchen or the bathroom. You would have just seen a white wall here. So opening up different views and different perspectives is amazing. We had to put a beam in between the 2 and then it had to be clad in something. There was the option of doing plaster, but This gave me more display space, which is something that I obviously need. It's great to have a bookshelf, but I also like sort of that it is a newer element to the space, and it helps with the newer pieces of furniture that it's not completely a sort of period building. There's the future and the past. When I was in high school, I've never been a religious person, but for some reason I found these mini Bibles really cute, so I would always buy them. They were just like $2 at the op shop. And this is like, I think it's kind of like a carver dish, like a ceremonial thing, but it reminds me of Pepito from Madeline. He had those hats. With commercial, it's great, and I think that's why I like commercial leases. This is my second commercial lease. It does give you the freedom to make more changes. I haven't always asked for permission to do things, but I've never gotten in trouble either. I mean, if you do the work properly, it's really adding value to the place. What was the hardest room? I think this room, because it took so long, I couldn't afford to do it all in one stage. You're so excited to like make this change and knock out a wall, but when you have to do it in stages, I know that I own a lot of objects, but they're all clean and they're all dust free. And when you're doing a renovation, that is not how life is. Everything was in boxes, and he would secretly do his business in places and you wouldn't know for 3 weeks. I definitely recommend to people out there, if you can avoid living in a renovation, do not live in a renovation. Yes.
It's freaky deaky, and it's oh so fine. We have it all. How does design stir our feelings and drive our connections to places, to our precious histories, and to each other? Jack Chen and Heidi Wong of Tsai Design show us how to transform awkward spaces into elegant instruments for living. See what happens when Dutch artist/designer Bert-Jan Pot's hands surprise his head. Learn how third world grit and a hell ton of plants can preserve the living culture of our cities. The unsung brilliance of the bench. How to embrace the awkwardness of apartment building communities. Walls bursting with colour and nostalgia. And don't worry, there are small homes too. A domestic prototype in San Sebastian, a rejection of minimalist aesthetics in Rome, and a Paris apartment that brings outdoor bathing in. And cushions that are less cushions and more your new best friend. There's still so much more inside, including the Instagram sensation 10-1 from Bogdan Girbovan, resplendent in print. Subscribe now to get yours with free worldwide shipping. Stop it.
This table is Georgian, and I seem to have a crush on Georgian furniture at the moment. The fact that it's nearly 200 years old just blows my mind. The Mona Lisa is a little bit tacky, but it's good to have a little bit of a sense of humour in a space. And this thing I love. It's a table for a mortician or a dentist. To me, it kind of looks like a shield or a sculpture, so that's how I like to display it. But if you have friends over and you want somewhere to put your drink, it's handy. The table is Willy Rizzo-esque. I don't want to say it's the real deal, but it's got these beautiful brass edges. And then a coffee table on a coffee table kind of allows me to have more furniture. This is a polo. Everyone loves a polo. He's actually made out of fiberglass. He's not a real ancient sculpture, but he's very handsome and he goes very well with the walls. I'm gonna upset everyone and tell you that it was $50 on Marketplace. The couch I got from Marketplace as well, and it's really funny. There's an episode of Kath and Kim where Kylie Minogue is in the episode, and it's like shot in the future. They have this as like the couch to represent the future. I think it's meant to be outdoor furniture, but I think it looks great inside. Goody, not scratching. The daybed was like one of my first big boy purchases. I got this from Nord in Brunswick, and I've had to sleep in this bed a few times when I've been renovating and I don't want to set anything else up. It gets very tight in here with me and the dog, but that's fine. To sort of have a bed that you don't have to set up and interrupt everything else is really nice. This is my mum. She's not dead. I really love this photo of her. It's the same guy that took this photo took that picture of Bowie. I look a lot like her, and this haircut on her is really great. Oh, it's so dusty over there. This is from Nord as well. If you're ever in Brunswick, you should go there because it's a beautiful shop. When I bought the daybed, it was like that was my big boy purchase. And then when I bought this, that was like my real big boy purchase. It's so beautifully made and it's definitely something I'll have forever. Inside is really great storage as well. I keep my computer in here It's great because when I'm not using it for work, it's just kind of a beautiful piece to look at. So the rug, I bought it from a place in Melbourne. It's called Rex Rugs. I just hung it from like a strip of wood and nailed into it. And then again, these picture rails are great because you just need those hooky things. I mean, it's really heavy. That was a nightmare to get up there. This column's really funny because it's plastic and I think everyone thinks it's made out of solid stone or something. I think it was like from a prop hire place that would do like toga parties or something at Melbourne Uni. This is a bit crazy at the moment. It's kind of where I put the things that I collect and I'm not really sure where to put them. I have a bit of a collection of like cigarette dispensers. This one's one of my favorites. When you put the bird down, he fetches the cigarette. It's a Nissan and it has an ashtray here and I think you put your cigarettes in there. This one, if you lift the trunk, it pushes the cigarette through the body and out the backside, which is very cute. If I try to dispense all these objects everywhere, then it just feels a bit too chaotic and there's nowhere for the eye to rest. Sometimes kind of overloading one space is the answer to that. Before I worked at a skip hire company for like 7 years, I never had worked in design or antiques or anything like that. I've always loved sort of decorating my home, but there's only so many times you can change the furniture around in your own house. It's kind of broken like... I guess that's why I started the shop, because I knew that I could not keep buying things and putting them in a house. And sort of being able to merchandise all the time really gets that out of my system, which is really good. So this is kind of my HQ. It's where I spend the majority of my time when I'm not in the shop. I normally just like to lie in bed and do work or think or whatever. I always like to pick the smallest room to sleep in. I think all it really does in the bedroom is store your clothes and gives you somewhere to rest, so why not? It's one of the few rooms with a door. I mean, it's just me here. I pretty much never shut this door anyway, but come in. Storage is really important. These wardrobes, like beside the bed, are great. The guy who I got them off said that his uncle had made them for him when he was a kid. They're just really simple. They don't take up much room. I kind of built the room around those two wardrobes, weirdly. In here, I keep all my kind of winter coats. The wardrobes are great because you can put one on top of the other, or you can have them right next to each other and they're just one cupboard, or separate them like I have. Goody sleeps with me, yes. We cuddle. He's very nice to cuddle with. The light, I think it's Bruno Munari. I think a lot of people would find it frustrating having it over the bed. It really doesn't bother me at all. I think it does make the space more cozy and it kind of adds, it's a focal point, I guess. I think the paper ones are too scary to sort of be making the bed with. You don't want to tear them. This one is really, it doesn't care what you do to it. Sometimes you need a beast of storage and somewhere to sort of stuff everything into, and these are great. This is Victorian and they're called break front wardrobes. This splits into 3 pieces so you can get it up the stairs if you, does that capture you? The top comes off, which holds this door on, and then the 2 units on the side separate. Hopefully I have my down. I think Victorian furniture for Victorian buildings makes sense because they were designed at the same time as the buildings. So this being able to separate into different pieces means you could get it up the stairs or a narrow hallway or whatever. So the kitchen came from a house in Northcote. They were renovating and it came off Marketplace. This bench, this shelf, and the sink, I think it was $200. And then my friend Claire just painted it for me. This is actually quite out of hand at the moment, but that's fine. I do a lot of shoots and stuff here and it's great for them to have different props to work with, and I guess they can just pull whatever they need to from here. Instead of having a huge F-off coffee machine, it's better to have 12 stovetop ones. These are normally made in Australia and well, I think we're kind of in every house. I love these cupboards, the way that this one opens like that, And then this one opens like that. They were made in a time when there wasn't that much room in kitchens and you needed something to house everything. This has like a plate rack for all your plates, and I put all my tea towels here, but this is like amazing for a small space because it's beautiful to look at, but it holds so much stuff. If you see on the side, it has this sort of mesh that flies and stuff couldn't get through. They're really common in Australia. This table, it's the first table I ever ate off in my life. My mum had it in a house in Warburton when I was born, and I've just known it my entire life. The table is really light, so I can just move it to the middle of the room and get some chairs from the other room, and it just kind of changes the way the space feels. It feels more like a old kind of cottage kitchen, which is really nice. I'm very sentimental, and objects really do link me to my past and my memories, so I feel like I'm losing that a little bit if I get rid of them, and maybe I'll forget about that time in my life or whatever. Lately, I've said to myself that if I cannot possibly find this again, then you can keep it. But if you can find it again, then maybe you can let it go and just wait until the next time. This door was a full door and I cut it in half, and it's a good space saver because before, when you open the door, it would completely block use to the sink. I think it's very chic, don't you think? You do need this little part here to fill in the gap so you can't see through, but you just add hinges to whatever side didn't have hinges, and then Bob's your uncle. They're upside down as well. I think this is nicer. Obviously there was no storage in here. This unit originally came from David Jones. It was like a shop fitting piece, but I got it off Marketplace. The toilet is right here, the sink is right here. There's nowhere to kind of put a cupboard or anything. So the circle shape really makes the space still flow really easy. The tiles I absolutely love. I'm very attracted to green and blue. I think they make me feel relaxed, and so the bathroom for me is very relaxing. There was a lot of this sort of iron stuff going on in different places in the house, but it's actually great. When I first got here, I'm like, oh, I'm taking that off, but it's kind of like a bit scary getting out onto the tiles, but this is so solid that I kind of don't worry. So good on you, last tenants. But they did leave all these holes in the walls, which ruined me. So I've filled them in with hooks, and in here I've got like a Mexican torso that my friend gave me. I think sometimes when you've got a bit like this, you just need to find something to cover it up with, and then it doesn't matter anymore. The shelf is by Nicole Lawrence. The sink is so low and there's no space on the sink to put anything, so having this shelf just kind of is storage and somewhere to put things down without taking up much space visually or physically, and you can still get down and wash your hands and everything like that. I don't think a bathroom needs to be huge. It would be great to like not have the toilet in the bathroom, but at the end of the day, it's just me here most of the time, and it doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't even have the door closed when I'm in the bathroom most of the time, to be honest with you. It's kind of really zen to be able to sit onto the toilet and look out at the rest of the space. So this is the backyard. It's probably my favorite part of the place because it's where I get my little bit of nature and I can relax at the end of the day. All the plants came from my old place. Well, mostly. I've collected a few since I've been here. This is my spot. I like to lie here. It's funny, you can see right through to the street from here, so I can kind of keep guard of the shop. Obviously, everyone loves to have space, but I think you can create intimacy and romance in a smaller space. I can get overwhelmed with my objects sometimes, but it's made me be a good kind of curator and keeper of the objects, you know.
How do people balance between quality and financially affordable?
Secondhand. You've got to buy secondhand. I think a lot of people want everything new and that it has to be perfect and like no one's ever touched it before. And I think it's just a silly attitude to have. A lot of materials that I like, wood, metal, glass, they're all something that you can decontaminate if you're really that worried about it. You just have to find what you love and what sort of speaks to you, and what you love will go naturally together, hopefully.
Sign up to our newsletter for subscriber-only content and exclusive offers. Visit nevertoosmall.com/subscribe.